Now, this is the Wednesday weekly learning session. My name is Carlos Navia, here for local bartending school. We do this every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Pacific time at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Does anybody have any questions about anything before I kind of start talking about stuff and get into today's topic? Always like to ask that.
So this I just wanted to share for topic is
did you guys get
that's
that
what
at
they
the
do at
Guinness?
the Guinness factory.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
very cool.
So I thought you would get a kick out of that. They use a computer, they take your picture, they pour it into the gear. That they when they're pouring it, that's the last 30 seconds or so of the pour. Pretty slick, huh?
Oh, they take your picture and put it on there. That's amazing. Now I have to go. Now it's on the bucket list because now I have to go. And my wife would love that too, to have a picture of that too. My wife has to have pictures of everything, and she goes for stuff like that more than I do. But that's very cool. Just what, lasers or something? Put it on there, like.
Yeah, they do that. They'll even engrave your own Guinness glass with lasers and stuff too. We've got a couple of those too. And it's just amazing. I know it's a storehouse, so they're doing a lot of it commercial-wise, but man, it's cool. It was the neatest thing in the world. I've
heard it's an awesome place to visit. Yeah, to visit the Guinness Brewery. Very cool. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I do appreciate that. That is awesome.
We did Teeling, we did Jameson, Bushmill, and Tullamore Dew. So yes, you get your whiskeys.
Got the whiskeys.
Guinness beer. Yes. And every place serves Guinness, of course, too, or Irish Red. What's it? Smithwick's Irish Red.
Smithwick's Irish Red. Nice. Yeah, that's a good one too. I haven't had that in a very long time. I don't think I have Guinness since.
Very good.
St. Patrick's Day. I think I had to have Guinness just because it was St. Patrick's Day and.
Yeah.
What better day to drink Guinness on than St. Patrick's Day? Awesome.
So if you're teaching on how to pour beer, you can teach how to do it with a person's figurine.
I know, I'm trying to do that. I'd love to if I could get, things are just kind of opening back up still. People are still weird, but if I could actually get where I could tape behind a bar or at a bar and actually show it in real life, that'd be awesome. But the place I know that let me do it's also like 35 miles from my house. It's a hike to get up to Cambria. I do not miss driving down from there, like 3 a.m, driving home in the middle of the woods. Okay. So Wednesday weekly learning session for local bartending school. We try to talk about something different every week, come up with some sort of topic. Last week was Tales of the Cocktail, and it was really cool. You can still go to their website and go on there. I believe they still have all the videos up of the exhibitions and the conferences and the talks and stuff like that. So if anyone wants to check that out, you can go on there and check it out and still catch some of those videos. The last one I did watch, the panel was all bar owners from around the United States. And the theme was, to get the words out. The theme was just them talking about kind of the new, landscape and what's going on right now. And they all talked about the same thing, which is, they're hiring a lot of bartenders without experience because a lot of people that worked in the bar, and service industry are just not coming back to work. So, there are jobs out there. There's still a lot of opportunities, probably better than it's been any time. I think, definitely in my lifetime, to get into the industry, but also realize that, the employers, the managers, and the owners, they realize that they're working with people that don't have a lot of experience, and they're going to be there to help you. That's the biggest thing. They realize, we all started at some place and they remember where they started. So, get in there and work hard, make mistakes. That's fine. We all make mistakes. They're going to show you what to do. Don't make the same mistake twice, and you'll do fine. They do understand kind of where you're coming from, and they do remember being there themselves. So you can still kind of check that out. So it is officially fall. The weather's definitely changing where I live and starting to cool off. So, we start to kind of get into some different tastes and some different things as we get into the fall, kind of the autumn season, into Oktoberfest and kind of the harvest season, and the different flavors and stuff. So I started just kind of looking up, what people think the trends were going to be for this year, for this autumn, for this fall, as far as cocktail trends. Last fall, things were very different because of lockdown, because of COVID. So it really did, change things for people as far as them consuming spirits and things like that. So, it's hard to predict this year because we were in such a unique situation last year. And, where I live in California, we're back to a mask mandate indoors. I know some other counties, probably Los Angeles kind of does everything before us, are going to get to the point where you're going to have to be vaccinated to get into certain places, government buildings and stuff like that. I believe they're already doing that. So things are still kind of changing, and we're kind of working, within that and around COVID. One of the big things that came from that was just people drinking at home because you were locked down and you couldn't go out. And a lot of people started to learn how to make some of their favorite cocktails at home, and now find it, to be a better place where they, instead of going out to bars when they couldn't, hey, I can make this same cocktail at home just as well as they can make it in the bar. So a lot of that has happened because they have more free time. They weren't going to work. You could start drinking earlier in the day. And, this was aided by alcohol delivery. And, the big rise of places like Instacart and Postmates and stuff like that deliver alcohol to your house. Hey, I don't even have to leave the house. Heck, I don't even have to get out of my bathrobe, to have cocktails and enjoy it, watch videos online, see about making, the cocktails I regularly get at the bar. So it's kind of created an influx and kind of a different atmosphere as far as the spirit industry. And I'm trying to read my own notes. And, some people have just decided to kind of stop drinking at all. There's a big rise of non-alcoholic and or low alcoholic beverages coming out. I think I showed the picture last week of the Liars non-alcoholic spirit line. I happened to be in the grocery store today and noticed that they were selling it at my local grocery store here in San Luis Obispo. And they were like $33 a bottle, which very much surprised me for something that does not have any alcohol in it, but it's definitely coming up. That's the first time I've seen them in a grocery store or a liquor store or any place here where I live. And I do frequent the liquor sections and look around a lot and see what they have to offer and see what's new and see if there's anything different. So, don't be surprised if you see that, if that becomes a thing. A lot of people in Tales of the Cocktail talked about it, and a lot of people are saying the same thing, that the request for, non-alcoholic and lower alcoholic beverages is the demand is growing and growing, and they're getting more people each week that are coming in and asking for things like that. So don't be surprised if that trend continues. Hard seltzer became huge really fast, and it's already kind of plateaued out and started mellowing out. I feel like the market's kind of oversaturated now. There's so many different types of hard seltzer. It was just like White Claw and Truly kind of at the beginning, and now it's Bud Light has their own, and Corona has their own, and everybody has their own, and everybody's making them. So there's so many out there. I think I think it's going to be one of those flash in the pan kind of things. Not that people won't continue to drink them, but I already feel like its popularity is kind of tailed off as far as that goes. But it's also opened the door to, ready to drink cocktails. They call them RTDs is what they refer to them. The internet article I was looking at earlier, ready to drink cocktails that come in a can. And I'm seeing more and more of those every time I'm in the liquor store, every time I'm in the grocery store, different types and different companies coming out. And I think it's kind of funny because it's not really even a new idea. Club was making cocktails in a can, and this is their new logo, Club Tales is what they changed it to. But they were making stuff like Long Islands and Mai Tais and stuff like that in a can, back in the 80s when I was young, this stuff was around. So it's funny that it's not a new concept, but, it's a concept 40 years old that's really, really taking off now. And we're just going to continue to see more and different kinds of ready to drink cocktails coming in a can. But, at the same time, that kind of opened the door. And, with the laws amending to let people take alcohol out, has opened the door to batching cocktails as bartenders and offering those. So, if you worked at a Mexican restaurant and people wanted to come and get Mexican food to take out, you could have pre-made margarita that they can put in a jug, take it home, fill a glass with ice, pour it on there, and it's ready to go. So that is a great thing, for us as bartenders to be able to do that, prep that ahead of time, sell them just a jug, like selling pitchers of drinks, in a bar, and let them take it home. And we should theoretically still get our nice big tip off of that as well, because they'll be happy with their cocktails. So, that's something that's really catching on and becoming popular. I think the biggest thing is two of the biggest things they kind of talked about if you're thinking about doing some sort of batching or something like that. And you know, let me get some water. Scratchy. The other situation I've batched cocktails in large batches before too is kind of like private parties. Sometimes you go to a wedding or a private party that has a certain signature drink or two signature drinks, and it's easy to prep those ahead of time, put them in a speed pour bottle so you can just grab glasses of ice and pour them over and rock like that and just get them out fast like that. But if you know you're thinking about batching cocktails, making large batches, you know, biggest thing, test it first. Test it out, find the right recipe before you try to put it into a large batch, and make sure that you're getting the right amounts. And when you do find the right combination, write it down. Don't just go off the top of your head. Write it down, do the math for a larger container, and make sure that you're getting the appropriate amounts. Also, make sure that when you're multiplying it, you're not, you know, make sure what you're multiplying it into fits into the container you want to use. Because that's the other problem that people say they came into is they would go, okay, so we'll multiply this 10 times, and it was way too much for the container they intended to put it in. You know, a lot of people are starting to batch cocktails, put them into kegs, and just pour the cocktail straight out of a tap, like a beer or anything else. So just those are three things if you're thinking about batching cocktails. You know, it's also led to like what's become popular in the area I live is hard kombucha. And I really don't even know what kombucha is. I thought it was some sort of health drink. I don't think I've ever tried it. And I don't know much about health drinks and stuff like that. Even though I live in a very hippie area where it's all about healthy stuff like that, I still eat pizza and cheeseburgers. So that being said, you might see that around too. It is very popular here. People buy a ton of it, you know, kombucha with alcohol. And it's, you know, we're probably going to see some other things as well come up, you know, with alcohol that are popular that people will start putting alcohol in and canning stuff like that. Yeah, I talked about the club cocktails, and you know they're not going away as far as the ready to drink stuff that people can just buy in cans and take home. And what's been talked about for a long time, and it's not going to stop being talked about, and it's huge where I live because I live in farm area next to an agricultural college, is, you know, sustainability. And you know, it's a big key word, us not destroying the environment and having, you know, having our resources here for future generations to enjoy. And I think it really does relate to the hospitality industry directly, in the sense of, you know, people come to beautiful places. They want to go to the beach, or they want to go to the mountains. They want to go to the woods. They want to go to the forest. They even want to go to the desert. I don't. I grew up there. I don't want to go back. You know, but they want to see these beautiful things we have to offer. And, you know, part of it, you know, part of the problem with having that many people in a certain area is it does start to destroy the natural resources and the beauty of a place. And, you know, we had problems with that in Florida where the beachy roads there, and they have to do rebuilding projects because people come clear the seaweed off the beach, and it destroys the natural element and destroys their beaches. You know, where I live in California, you're not allowed to take the seaweed off the beach. It's natural. It's part of the land. You just got to leave it there because that's the way, you know, it's always been. So, you know, as bartenders, two biggest things we can do is recycle. And, you know, I won't put it up again because last week I put up the thing of what's recyclable and what's not. And, you know, you should have a recycle bin. You should know what's recyclable, what's not. I know that some states don't really recycle like we do in California because we're super anal about it here. In Florida, we just throw everything in the garbage. There was not a separate container for anything. But if your state does recycle, you know, make sure you're trying to get as much of their recyclables into it as you can. The other thing is, you know, kind of water conservation. Where I live, that's a big thing because California is dry. It's been in a drought for a very long time, and it catches on fire. Not too many this year. I was in ash and smoke for 2 days last week, which was very scary. If anybody has Netflix, there's a movie about the Paradise Fire a couple of years ago. Frightening, but an awesome watch. There's a bunch of people in the middle of a fire with iPhones taping it. If anyone wants to watch that, side note. But, you know, just try to do what we can to you know, cut down on waste and, you know, try to help the environment. So I was looking at this article on Forbes, and they were talking to a bunch of industry professionals, asking them what they think the fall trends would be for this year. Big one, agave spirits. Tequila and mezcal is going to continue to climb and has been for a long time. And I think part of it is there's tons of celebrities It's been a big vogue thing for celebrities to, you know, have their own tequila or mezcal. Aaron Paul and Bryan Cranston have Dos Hombres that just came out. Kendall Jenner has one called 818, which is the area code down in Calabasas in the San Fernando Valley in LA, where the family is from. Have not tried it. Kind of curious, but it's about $60 a bottle, and I'm not sure if I'm exactly that curious. Now, I didn't know this actress, so I had to look her up. Shane Mitchell from Dirty Little Liars owns or is part owner of a company called Onda, and I did see these in the grocery store, and that's what I'm bringing up. In a can, and it's Paloma. It says grapefruit Paloma, which sounds redundant because there's going to be grapefruit and Paloma and lime margarita in a can. Once again, more of these ready to go canned cocktails that are coming out. The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, has his own tequila called Terramana. You know, Sean P. Diddy Combs has De Leon. George Clooney, of course, Casamigos, and that is very popular where I live. People seem to love that one as well. Justin Timberlake, I didn't know this, teamed up with Saza. It has one called 901, which is the area code. I knew that because I used to live in Memphis, Tennessee, which is the area code of Memphis, which is, I did not know where Justin Timberlake was from. Nick Jonas has one called Villa One. And the guy that started it all, Sammy Hagar from Van Halen, you know, I think was really the first one to start his own tequila. He opened a bar down, you know, I can't think of the place, down at the end of Baja, Mexico. I can't think of the name of the town, you know, called Cabo Wabo, made Cabo Wabo tequila. And I think it just became a thing for other celebrities to want to make their own tequila. He's now teamed up with Adam Levine to make Mezquila, which is a combination of half tequila, half mezcal. Kind of curious to see what it tastes like. Maybe it cuts down some of the smokiness of the mezcal, makes it a little smoother. I don't know. You know, opinions out on that one, I think, till I try it. And he also made another one called Santa Fino with Guy Fieri. So he's still in the tequila. He's still out there producing different tequilas and, you know, putting them out there. It's going to continue to rise because the perception has very much changed. And I think the celebrities only add to that. You know, in my day, tequila was you do shots of it and you get drunk, and that was it. It wasn't something you sipped on. It wasn't something that was handcrafted. It wasn't something that was great. You kind of accepted that you were going to have a horrible hangover, you know, before you made the decision to start drinking tequila that night. And it's not like that now. You know, there are very good, smooth sipping tequilas that you can have now, you know, that you can just drink straight on the rocks, you know, which you really didn't do much before. You know, there's tequilas now that can be put right up on the shelf there with, you know, your very high-end single barrel whiskeys and stuff like that, which has not always been a thing. So the perception has definitely changed, and, you know, it's appealing to a more mature clientele and, you know, kind of an older clientele. And those are the people with the disposable income. So tequila will continue to rise. You're going to see more of it, you know, more and more of that keep coming. You know, and they talked about too, just because COVID has affected supply lines, you know, they're having problems with different spirits getting, number one, the materials they use to where they make the spirits, and then number two, getting the spirits to where people want to buy them. You know, if you take a bottle of Bombay Sapphire, I don't have one here, and you look at the label, Bombay Sapphire gin used to be my favorite gin. If you look at the front label and you turn it to the side, it's got 5 plants on one side. You turn it to the other side, 5 more plants on the other side. And that's what's in Bombay Sapphire. Pure grain alcohol, water, and flavor from those 10 plants. Now, those 10 plants, if you read it, come from all over the world. And it can be hard to get them. I will check that out. Thank you, Marty. I'll take a look at that. Sorry, I tried to close this for a second. So, you know, there is some problems and scarcity getting some kinds of liquors and getting them out there to people. And it's just going to push the demand up. It's just going to push the price up. So, you know, expect tequila to continue to be popular. They say pre-immunization is what they put, what's that they titled this next part out. What they've noticed is a trend in people basically going back to liquors that they know and trust and not kind of being adventurous as much. And I think part of this is just if you're not going out to a bar, maybe you're not experimenting with as many things or trying as many different cocktails. Also, if you're ordering liquor to your house and you're not actually at the store to look at the bottle or ask questions of the folks that work at Bevmo, I love Bevmo here, that work at the store, I'm going to go to something I know I'm going to like, that I trust. So, they're really seeing that people are just kind of going back to old favorites, and those are being sort of the most popular liquors that they're selling. It's going to start changing into cool weather drinks. And we're going to talk about a couple drinks and different stuff just here in a minute. You're going to start to get your pumpkin beers, and everything's going to have pumpkin spice in it, pumpkin lattes and stuff like that. And the other thing is, it's football season. It keeps a lot of people home on the weekends with a big screen television, having a party at their house watching football. That's where the hard seltzers come into, and those ready to go canned beverages are going to be very popular, in people's homes for their parties. It was much different years and years ago. When I started working in sports bars, we used to have a giant satellite dish on the roof that you had to control and move to find things. Now anybody can have every game of the NFL piped into their house, into their 72-inch TV, that's in their living room. So it is kind of different, especially for people in sports bars and stuff like that. Very interested to call some of the sports bars I used to work at and see if they're feeling some effects of that, or if people are just ready to get out and, watch the game with other people. But that kind of plays into it as well. And, non-alcoholic drinks, and it's going to continue to go on and on and on and on. But I think this is kind of weird that they're finding that younger crowds are tending to kind of turn towards not drinking as much. They quoted a bar manager from Houston, Texas, said sobriety seems to be trending. So the younger generation isn't drinking as much. These non-alcoholic spirits and non-alcoholic beverages are still going to continue to be a thing. And, once again, the canned beverages in the last year, ready to go cocktails have grown by 171% in the last year. So it's going to continue to go. And one of the things, especially here where I live, because I live in hippie, country out here, making more of them with natural spirits, natural juices and stuff like that. The old original club cocktails are just sugar, and there's no natural juice. There's nothing natural about them. So, putting in some natural juices and some natural flavors and stuff like that, I think is only going to expand these ready to go cocktails that are being put out there. And I talked about the supply chain. So, classic cocktails are going to continue to be a trend too. And the trend of who can put the new spin on the old classic. It's going to continue to go. If you've got some ideas, put them out there, work on your own, enter a contest. It is tons of fun. Gin's made a big comeback, and I think it's going to continue to. There's a lot of good and new gins that have come out very recently. Snoop Dogg has his own gin. Ryan Reynolds bought a gin company. And the other thing I see a lot around here is like these premium mixers. They sell like Fever Tree Tonic, and Q Mixers is another company that makes stuff like that, who actually sponsored Tales of the Cocktail this year. And people, ask for that kind of stuff around here. A very specific tonic, very specific, they make tonic water, they make club soda, they make all kinds of different things. But people will ask for that here at bars where I live. Do you have Fever Tree mixers? Do you have these specific mixers? And this I saw the other day too. They happened to mention this, and I happened to run into this just the other day where I live too, which is natural made wine and responsibly made wine. Certified organic is a big button, hot button word where I live. Everybody wants everything it's organic. I happened to notice this, like just here this last week, that there is this kind of new natural healthier wine they actually make in the area where I live in here called Fit Vine. Made up here in Paso Robles, I believe. So, it is a thing. Natural and organic and healthier wine coming out is going to be a trend. And I think it's going to start to kind of, as the trend of organic foods and people eating better continues to grow. Well, we're eating better. Why are we not drinking better as well? So don't be surprised if you start to see some kind of all natural wines and stuff like that. Herbs and roots are going to be staying popular. That's kind of a new trend. People putting herbs and stuff from underground into cocktails. And the other thing I ran into that I think is kind of interesting is alcoholic tea drinks. and they were talking about mixing, have gin with Earl Grey or have, this with chamomile. And that's something I really haven't tried before or ever delved into. A hot toddy probably be the closest thing to, an actual tea type alcoholic drink that I've ever experimented with. But that seems like a good idea as we get into the colder weather, and people start getting into the hot beverages. You could have some fun with some tea drinks, putting alcohol in those as well. So I saw some very cool recipes, and I'll share some of them with you and the pictures of them. Apple cider mimosa, some good fall ideas here. Apple cider mimosa. Let me see if I can find the picture of this guy. And I thought this looked really good. You got a cinnamon sugar rim on there. Dark, it says brandy or dark rum, and I think some dark spiced rum will work really good in a drink like this with some apple cider, and top it off with some sparkling wine, a little apple to garnish it. You get that cinnamon and sugar as you taste it, kind of tastes like a candy apple. Looks really good. I definitely want to try that one. Now this one is perfect for fall. Where's the picture of it if I can find it? The pumpkin pie martini. So they made it with vanilla vodka, some white creme de cocoa cream, and some pumpkin spice in there. Little cinnamon sugar rim on a chilled glass. But to make this and make it look like that, they froze the whipped cream. So they talked about kind of freezing the cream first and putting it through a, piping sleeve, like you would decorate a cake if you were a baker. Honestly, you could just find a plate, make little dollops of whipped cream on it, and then stick it into the freezer, take them right off and set it on the drink, top it with a little pumpkin spice. Sounded like a good one, tastes kind of like pumpkin pie, but this one I think I would like. Pumpkin pie white Russian. And they've got a little bit of a smoking cinnamon stick on there. If you're lighting stuff on fire, just make sure you blow it out. Don't hurt anybody. But, vodka, a little pumpkin spice coffee creamer, some coffee liqueur, shake it and strain it. And then the rim for this one is a little pumpkin spice, a little sugar, and crushed up graham cracker. And you put a nice dollop of whipped cream on top with a little pumpkin spice on top of that. I have done drinks with crushed up graham cracker crust. It does give it a very, very cool effect. I think we made one in Florida that's supposed to taste like key lime pie. So it had the graham cracker crust. It's, I think we made it as a frozen drink. So you got the frozen drink, you get the graham cracker in there, and it kind of tastes like pie. We're gonna try that one. At apple cranberry Moscow Mule. See if I got the picture of this one too. These looked good too. A little vodka, cranberry juice, some sparkling apple juice like Martinelli's. I don't know if you guys know what that is. It's like sparkling cider. They have it a lot here where I live because, you give it to kids in a champagne glass when you're doing a champagne toast at a wedding or stuff like that. A little bit of ginger beer, you can throw some apples and some cranberries in there to garnish it. That one looks awesome. And an apple cider hot toddy. I never got the picture of this one. Where's my apple cider hot toddy? I don't think I have the picture to this one, but whiskey or brandy, some lemon juice, some honey in there, and then heat up some apple cider. So instead of putting the water in to make our regular hot toddy, you're going to do it with hot apple cider poured in there, mix it all up, garnish it with a cinnamon stick. Oh, it sounds delicious. That sounds great if you've got a sore throat and you don't feel well and it's raining and you just want to put on Netflix and watch a movie. That's the perfect time for that. So, oh, don't tell me my screen off again. I lost my screen again. There it goes back. Okay. It might be time for a new laptop. I'm not going to touch it. Okay. A couple other ones that I saw that I ran into, and this one I've done, but they did it a little differently than I had done it before, which is making a mimosa with cranberry juice. It says here that some people call it a poinsettia. So if I take this, and I've done it before, but I've never done it with a sugar rim. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit of sugar here. I'm going to rim this. Oh, actually, I'm forgetting something out here, aren't I? Oh, that's all right. If we rimmed it here, give it a nice little sugar rim. Put a little cranberry juice in here. Do I have something with bubbles? Oh, thought I had some club soda. I don't have anything with bubbles. But we'll put something in there to give it the same effect. Top it off with champagne. I could drop a nice cherry in there like this, or a cranberry to make it look nice. Always give them a cocktail napkin. And you've got your poinsettia or your cranberry mimosa there with a nice little sugar rim. You do that one last. This one I actually like and I've had before, and I think it's really good. So if I grab my rocks glass, we're talking about is a maple old fashioned. So I'm going to take my rocks glass here, and we're going to go ahead and I'm going to give this one a stir. So I'm going to grab some ice here. No, we'll just give this one a shake anyway. Actually, we'll do it in here. We'll give it a shake. So I'm going to grab some ice in here in my mixing tin. I'm going to go with 2.5 ounces of what kind of looks like whiskey here. And once again, this is just water because I don't want to waste anything. Well, I don't have real champagne out here. We're going to go with a little dash of bitters. And then maple syrup. This is actually Mrs. Butterworth, but you would use real maple syrup, and for the effect, it'll work just as well. And I'm going to do a couple bar spoons of that in there, just like that. All right, you give it a nice shake, or you could do this little number. That one's good too. Over the shoulder, pop that off. Come back here, grab some fresh ice. Strain that in there. Nice, just like that. I'm going to take a nice piece of this orange peel off here with my vegetable slicer. Give it a nice little twist. Squeeze that in there like that. With a nice cherry. Got a little straw. Bam. And there we have our maple old fashioned, just like that. So one more that I saw that I liked that we'll give a try to here. Let me rinse this stuff out. Is Cranberry Margarita. And this sounded really, really good to me. So, you know, we could do it just the same way as a regular margarita. If I just take my mixing tin here, throw some ice in here. I hope I'm still going. I lost my screen again. As my computer dies on me. I hope we're still there. I hope I haven't popped anything up on the screen. Oh no. My screen went out. All right, well, I'm going to continue because I don't know if it's just the screen or if it's everything. But I will have to look at that. So we're making our margarita here. Going to do 1.5 ounces of tequila. Like that. I'm going to do 1 ounce here of this orange liqueur. Just like that. Seed, some fresh lime. Go, a little fresh lime juice in here. Just like that. And I'm going to give it about 3 ounces here of cranberry juice. All right, pop that in. Give it a shake. That's there in froth. Come back here with my glass. Use the lime here to make it sticky. A little bit of salt here. I have a nice salted rim. And we'll fill it up with some fresh ice here. strengths. There we go. Oh, is my screen coming back on? We're going to put a nice big straw in that one. We're going to give it a cocktail napkin. And we're going to garnish that with a nice piece of lime. And we've got a cranberry margarita right there with a salted rim. So my computer, I can't see the screen. I hope everybody's still there. I hope you can still hear me. I'm going to have to figure out what happened here, and hopefully my screen comes back to me. Does anybody have any questions about anything? I hope someone's still there.
Yeah, are you going to post these recipes, or do we just go to liquor.com?
Just die. Well, hopefully I got the rest of this in and my computer didn't die. Now I just have to figure out how to turn my screen back on. There it is. It's back. Okay, you're back. I don't know if you guys can see me the whole time because my computer seems to be fighting me today, and it might be time. Yeah, I can put them up. You know what? I can put them up on the Facebook page when we get done and put them up there. Do you go to the Facebook page? Do you have Facebook volume? Okay, yeah, I'll put them up there for you. Okay, yeah, I'll put them on the local bartending school page. Awesome. All right, anybody got any questions about anything? Otherwise, I'm supposed to have class and I want to see what's wrong with my computer and why it's giving me a hard time today and fighting me. But if there are no questions, thank you everybody for showing up. I do appreciate it. Next week, we'll talk a little bit more about fall cocktails, and then we will talk about the Singapore Sling, which I believe is going to make a comeback soon. Maybe I should push to have it make a comeback. So we'll talk about Singapore Sling, where it comes from, and how to make a Singapore Sling next week. Okay. Otherwise, thank you everybody very much for showing up. Have a great day. Have a great week, and I will see you next week.